Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? I hope you're doing great. Welcome back to Oasis of Grace. So, God is love. Today, I just want to pick up where we left off. We were talking about real warfare versus counterfeit warfare. So, last time I spoke about impositions and how they are actually the real warfare. So we see that impositions are not just on a human relational level, but on a spiritual level. Impositions actually are what the enemy uses in the spirit to enforce defilement and to enforce evil covenants on people. Remember that life is spiritual and everything about us is spiritual because we are made in God's image. We are God's children, spiritual beings having a physical experience. And so, by virtue of just being God's image, then that places us in a situation whereby we are targeted individuals. There's a lot of talk out there about targeted individuals. It goes from the SRA, dissociative disorders, but it's not limited to people that have identified with such. It is actually a human reality because of the truth of the fact that we are made in God's image. So, what is all this gobbledygook I'm saying? In layman terms, what I'm saying is that because we have an umbilical cord, we are human beings, we are made in God's image, that by default places us at the front line of warfare. It places us at the front line of being Satan's target. You don't need to be a preacher, you don't need to be an intercessor or someone that does something extraordinary for God's kingdom in order to be targeted. By virtue of you being human, by virtue of the law in Genesis that you were made in God's image, that alone is what sets the tone of your life. You become targeted. And the intensity and the viciousness of the target, it depends and it differs from person to person, because remember, we each have different bloodlines we come from, we each have different generations that are linked to us and lineage. So that also becomes a determining factor as to how intense the target is going to be on your back and how violent the assaults and impositions are going to be for you. So we find that people that have a lot of bloodline iniquity from birth, all the children that come into that family lineage, the enemy then downloads what we call bloodline iniquity on those children. And then those iniquities become imposed on the children, whether the children are deserving of those assaults or not, whether the children are guilty and due to receive those legalities levied on them, it doesn't matter. By virtue of the bloodline that you come from, you then become eligible to whatever iniquities that were committed under your bloodline, and you become eligible to whatever evil that has been going on in your bloodline. And it is important for us, therefore, as God's children, to understand this dynamic. It's important for us to really come to grasps with what's really going on, so that we're able to fight, so that we're able to stand, so that we are able to wage a good war with the enemy, and we win, we triumph, because the biggest weapon that Satan is using against us is our lack of knowledge. For the fact that we lack knowledge, for the fact that we don't know or we don't understand, that places us in jeopardy. It places us in a disadvantage, because you cannot begin to protect yourself from something you're not aware of. But then being aware, it places you on a higher leverage, because in that case you can deal with it head on. Not only that, but you can also find better ways, better methods, use technology to access information that is out there to help yourself, to equip and empower yourself so that you are able to defeat what you're dealing with. So, as I wrap up, impositions are our birth target that we all receive from conception, from our mother's womb. You see, spiritual warfare is just so interesting. When I was young, I used to think that it's something like competitive sports, whereby both parties are willing, both parties participate, and both parties actually agree to the terms and conditions of the sport, and therefore they each have an equal chance to win, or an equal opportunity at the sport. But guess what? With spiritual warfare, it doesn't work like that. The battle lines are drawn from when we are in our mother's womb, and the legalities which are layered on people, on children, on generations, they are sinister, cunning, and very conniving. But do not fret, because it is written that through knowledge the just shall be delivered. Satan's biggest weapon is our lack of knowledge. But by the grace of God, by the power of the Holy Spirit, we become empowered through knowledge, and we shift from the veil of blindness, the veil of spiritual deafness, and we get transitioned. We are brought into God's marvelous light. And in that way, we already defeat the enemy. So thank you so much for tuning in. May God bless you. We will pick up tomorrow on the next episode, where we will delve deeper into exactly the kind of mechanics that take place and that run all these impositions and all these attacks that are levied on humanity. Stay blessed. Bye.